Welcome back to Open Line tonight. I'm here with Clint Kelly from the Kelly Law Firm talking about medical malpractice. Thank you for being here once again.
Thank you.
We've already had some good calls, and I wanted to follow up on Linda's call. She was talking about a procedure where she had a bladder sling put in, and you always see those commercials on TV saying, this has been recalled, and if you have this, give us a call now. You know, you could be part of this class action lawsuit. What's that?
Well, most people are probably familiar with the vaginal mesh cases.
Yes.
We got inundated with those advertisements, and the basis of the claim was the vaginal mesh broke down after it was used by surgeons, and it caused a whole panoply of complications over the course of time. And the manufacturer admitted that the mesh was inadequately manufactured and designed. So you had women who were suing because of injuries from the mesh breaking down, and other women suing to get the mesh out and have it replaced, kind of like those artificial hips.
Yeah.
And so you were asking about class actions, and in these situations you have what we call mass torts, where it's not a class action, but you'll have perhaps 1,000 cases all centralized into one federal court, and that federal court will nurse or shepherd the cases along up to a point where either they can be settled on a global basis or they're all sent home to their home district to be tried. Usually those types of cases will involve a global settlement where there's a grid, and where you fall on that grid is the money that you're entitled to. But those mesh cases, I think they're still going on. They were serious.
Do you end up, if it is a global settlement or a global case, do you end up really getting what you would on a local level, or is it just very dependent?
It's dependent, and like I said, they have a grid for, you know, how much in medical expenses have you incurred or will incur, what degree of injury do you have, or what type of complications are you going to have. Age is a factor, and they just put you somewhere on a grid, the lawyers who represent the manufacturer and the lawyers who represent the group of plaintiffs, what they call the plaintiff steering committee, and that's what your settlement is. And you know, 99% of the plaintiffs will take the settlement that they get on the grid, and that 1% will, you know, either go to trial or eventually agree to the settlement.
Yeah. How long do those cases take to play out? I mean, or any of these cases?
Years.
Really?
I mean, I think the mesh case has been going on for 5 years, and they could go even longer.
And that's hard when you're the one experiencing difficulty right now. Like just, you know, Linda was saying, she's incontinent. I mean, how terrible to go through life like that, and you know, probably a young woman, and something she's dealing with several times a day.
And it's likely not repairable, because if I'm right and it is nerve damage, there's not anything you can do about that. Either it comes back or it doesn't, and there's no magic surgery or formula to regulate that. So yeah, it's a devastating injury, and if she were part of that vaginal mesh case, yeah, it would probably take her years for her to get compensation from the manufacturer.
I'm told we have another Linda on the line right now. Linda, thank you for calling in. What's your question tonight?
Thank you. I had surgery, and I was having a pain pump removed, and when the surgery was just supposed to be like an hour, and they said I would be up. It was the same day surgery, but they couldn't wake me up for 4 or 5 hours. And the last nurse that I spoke to, she asked me what had happened, and I explained to her that they told me to continue taking my medication. And at that time I had a pain patch on, and I told her that they told me to continue using the pain patch when I come into surgery, and she said that's what had caused me to have the problem of them not being able to wake me up. It took 4 to 5 hours before they could even get me to
come out of the anesthesia.
I was over medicated.
Yeah, that would be a situation in my mind where you may have a mistake, a medical mistake, but is it going to cause a major medical injury? Most of your cases involving people who have been under anesthesia for a significant period of time are able to recover. The people who don't recover well are your elderly.
Oh, yes.
The elderly really are susceptible to longer anesthesia times and can have some serious mental injuries, a loss of memory, concentration.
Yes.
But most of your people who are not elderly are going to recover fully over the course of time.
Do you feel like you've had any lasting consequences because of this?
Yes, I have.
Like what?
I do have a loss of memory, and like I can't hear my phone ring. It's just, and things I can't remember things that happen just right away. You know, say for instance, was reading, and then I walked away and came back, and I couldn't remember what I was reading or if I was about to do something. I can't remember what I was about to do.
How long ago was your surgery, Linda?
It was about, I think it was about 10 months ago. November.
Yeah, she's coming up on the, well, if it's on November, she may have been a year.
Yes, I think it was November when I had it, yes.
Well, Linda, my guess is you may have, I don't think the statute would necessarily bar you because I don't know when you discovered that you were under anesthesia too long, but I think this is one of those situations where you're probably creeping up on the statute.
Okay.
And you need to take some action quickly to have the claim evaluated. And you need to also find out, when did you first learn that they had kept you under too long? You might have known the next day, I don't know.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, so what do I need to contact an attorney or?
Yes, go ahead and call my office and ask to
Okay.
speak to Nurse Kathy, and you'll see the phone number up on the screen there, 824-3703. But Linda, you've got to make sure before you call Nurse Kathy,
Okay.
tell her, when did you first learn that you were under anesthesia too long? Because if you learned at some point during November, I'm afraid your claim's probably barred.
Okay.
Okay?
Linda, thank you for calling in, and we're going to show that number throughout the newscast. So if you didn't catch her throughout the show, so if you didn't catch it right now, we will show it just a little bit later on. And if you have a call, go ahead and give us or you have a question, go ahead and give us a call. 615-737+ is the number to call. I want to talk to you about this case we were talking about before the show out of Las Vegas. This isn't something you're involved in, but it is something when I was reading, my jaw was on the ground.
Right.
This is crazy, and it seems like a no-brainer that action is going to be taken in this case. Can you set up the story a little bit?
Yeah, you had a patient who came in to deliver a child and was on the table, and it had an epidural, and the obstetrician comes into the room, and almost right off the bat, the obstetrician tells the nurse standing next to him that he had been at the bar
At happy hour.
At happy hour. That's correct. And then went further to describe, what drinks he had and what drinks he had refused because of time. He came into the operating suite with Bermuda shorts on. And what surprised me, and it shocked you, Carrie, when we were talking off air, the nurses were engaging in this banter with
Yes.
him. They were sitting there and
What drink did you have to
laughing.
turn down to come in?
That's right. They're joking with him as opposed to saying, "Doctor, get out of here. You need to go," and bringing somebody on call
Right.
or another doctor in the hospital in to perform the delivery. And this man actually did deliver the mother's child, and he was born with Erb's palsy, which is a defect of the shoulder from the delivery. And there wasn't really any doubt at all that the doctor was drunk. And this is all on video.
It's on video, cell phone videos. One of the family members was in the room recording, which a lot of hospitals don't allow. So whether they knew it was being recorded or not, it's on video, and you can hear this doctor and the nurses.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think that you would believe it. It's
No, not at all.
It's so outrageous. And what's happening, Carrie, I think, is this is getting to be a bigger problem. Because it used to be, we'd like to say in the old days, doctors could get away with this. Nurses could get away with this because people weren't recording these things on cell phones. They didn't have a way to prove it. A doctor could come in impaired, and unless he falls over the tray and knocks the instruments on the floor or something that outrageous, people just didn't know. Well, nowadays, it's easier to catch those things. And the doctors will be shipped off to a rehab facility, whether it's Atlanta or Kansas City, for months. And then the doctor will return, and nobody knows why he's gone except for the people in the hospital. And he'll have to take a breathalyzer test before he goes into the hospital each day to make sure he's sober.
The hospital has to settle this, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's even beyond that, Carrie. I mean, I think this is one of those situations where we have what's called punitive damages.
Explain what that is.
Punitive damages are damages above and beyond compensation. I call them punishment damages. It's an amount of money on top of the compensation designed to hit the hospital in the wallet, to punish them to such an extent that they will make changes in the culture. This is a culture problem.
Yeah, big time.
When you start having the nurses participating in the fun and frivolity of a drunk doctor, you've got to have somebody come there and clean house. And that involves a culture change, and usually what will prompt a culture change is a strong punitive damages verdict. Well, Tennessee still has it. I don't know about Las Vegas, but that hospital needs to be punished.
So you're saying in Tennessee you can't get punitive damages?
You can get punitive damages in Tennessee. It's subject to a cap.
Okay, which is what?
2.5 times the compensatory damages, or $500,000, whichever's greater. I don't know about Las Vegas. They may have done away with them there, but that's the value of having that option. Is in the really egregious bad case. If you want to change the culture, that's how a jury changes the culture.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. If you have a question, go ahead and give us a call. I see we have a few lined up, so we'll take those right after the break. Stick around.